So I'm just about to head down to Eskimo Joe at the pub, so I've only got a couple of minutes, so I just really want to share this with you. I really feel like we have to commend our federal politicians, for the thorough investigations they do and the lengths they go to before they make big decisions and spend our taxpayer-funded money. So take the drought, for instance. It's bloody shocking, affecting tens of thousands of people and one of the worst droughts we've ever seen. So rightly so, the federal government has formed a drought relief fund, and they also employed Barnaby Joyce as their drought envoy for 12 months. Now, that was on top of Joyce's normal job and his normal six-figure salary, which apparently is insufficient to live on. So, it came at a really good time for Joyce, as well as obviously assisting the people in the drought. Now, during the time that Joyce was in this envoy role, he didn't write a single report, but don't worry, because he's assured us that he wrote some very long text messages to the PM. So I'm sure he's earned his six figures. So this got me thinking about, well, what's the criteria for becoming a drought envoy? You need to enjoy travel on the public purse, enjoy free food and booze, enjoy being in front of the camera, enjoy having little to no accountability for what you do each day, and wear a silly hat. So I thought, feck it, I'll spring for the oversized Akubra for my kid. She's 17 and needs a job, so criteria met. So after BJ spent 12 months in the role as drought envoy, he was then joined by the ever affable Frydenberg, who, he's either had a shitload of Botox or he really is a alien infiltrator sent to discover the secrets of humans and take them back. I don't know what, because his face actually never moves. So anyway, Frydenberg joined Joyce along with ScoMo, and they went out into, speaking of silly hats, they went out into the bush and met lots of farmers. So they travelled to these drought-affected communities, again on the public purse, before they made the decisions about how they were going to spend this drought relief fund. Makes sense. So how did they make this decision when they got back to Canberra on how the money would be spent? Based on the visits they'd made, on the barren landscapes, on the cows dying, the sheep dying, on the crying farmers pouring their souls out, on the long text messages? No, none of that. They made the decision based on a desktop study and some statistics, which is why we ended up with a community that's in the midst of one of its wettest, greenest winters ever, in the embarrassing situation of having to hand back $1 million grant because they didn't need it. Meanwhile, other communities are like, hey, we'll take the $1 million. So the cynic in you say, well, what was the purpose of the envoy? What was the purpose of, the ScoMo and Frydenberg joining him on this tour of the bush? And it's a good question, but it's easily answered. So we have a long history in this country of when, our fellow Australians are down and out, say in times of war and Vietnam, we'd send entertainers and comedians to lift the spirits. So I'm assuming that in federal government down in Canberra, they had some think tanks and some round tables and maybe even a couple of long text messages were produced. And a senior staffer, who looks about 12, would have announced, hurrah, I've come up with it. This is how we're going to appease the farming communities. We'll send out a tour. An adulterer, a guy whose face is frozen, and someone who wears a flat cap under the illusion that it hides his arrogance and his sense of superiority. So hence the Laugh-A-Minute trio was formed. So this tour, coupled with ScoMo's thoughts and prayers, of course, should be keeping the farming community happy, you'd think, but apparently they're not. I can't figure it out.